Rocky and Joske, it's a privilege to talk to you today. Can you tell us a little bit about how you and Joske came to develop this curriculum that you're using in Latin America?
We started out in Bolivia with a traditional missionary model with a church and Bible school and other activities that were centered around the church. And we had an opportunity to take our Bible school into public school. And it grew so fast that we were happy to transition the church and Bible school to other faithful men and women working with us in Bolivia so that we could concentrate completely on the school program.
Rocky, how is the curriculum being accepted in the schools, the public schools of Latin America?
In the beginning, it was a trial. The Bolivian government let us test the idea of Bible school and public school with 3 schools with a total of 44 students in 1999. And they were shocked with the overwhelming success and the impact it had in schools that the teachers wanted, that the parents wanted, so kids even liked it. In 2004, the Bolivian Congress changed the law that allowed us to become the only curriculum accredited by the national government in the history of that country, and that's still true today. The Catholic Church allowed us to substitute as a catechism because they realized we were more effective at delivering the good news of Jesus than they were in that political environment. So we're about life skills, and part of the life skills that we give these students is having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
What happened was when we started to make the curriculum or this program, we realized that the interest of government was going to be focused mostly on morals and values. So when we started writing the program, the textbooks and the training sessions for the teacher, the big question was, okay, if we're going to focus on values, how are we going to do that? There's so many values on different levels of life and so many values to show forth. How are we going to teach that inside the existing system of education? So the question is, what is values? Values is that what comes from within us, in which we show how we value our environment, ourselves, the people around us, God. So when I teach that to the teachers and to the students, the first thing we show is, okay, what is a principle? It's truth that already exists. It's something that has a life that's longer than I have in this earth. It's a truth. It's a fundamental truth. You have to understand it in captive. It has certain laws within itself that makes it work. And it conducts us in how we behave one to another. Then he talked to me about 7 principles: love, creation, purpose, work, fruitfulness or your harvest, government, starting with self-discipline, and marriage. And those are the 7 principles that we have used as the content inside of this curriculum or inside of this program to teach people fundamental truths that they, by assimilation, capture their meaning, and then out of themselves flow the values. That was not the only thing, because I'll give a definition to each one of those in just a second. How are we going to put those fundamental truths into an education system that exists? The government has great interest in certain subjects being taught: health, sexuality, gender, economics, and social environment. The principles are not that hard to understand because we have to make them very short and captive so that the students can capture their truth. Love. Love is giving. Now, when a lot of times I stand in front of these classrooms and ask people what love is it an emotion or is it a decision? Many will tell me it's an emotion. But it's really a decision. And then I give the example of my children. I have 5 children. Now, when they were babies, they were sweet. Now, I know everybody else's children are sweet and all the other parents are correct and you know, right. I'm not that way. I'm not a saint. My children are not saints. So what happens is my children have grown up, and I had one teenage girl that has challenged me to great extent. To such extent that at times I just wanted to grab her throat and just pinch it blue, like, I'll listen to you, Mom, I'll listen to you. Did I do that? Of course not. Why? Because I decided I would love my children no matter what. And I would give my life to give them a better future. So that was what love is. Now that's what children have to learn. Have to learn that it's a decision, that at times our emotions might be evolved positively, but many times also negative, in a negative way. But that because we decide to respect, to love the other person, we decide to respect, so there come the values, respect that person, honor that person, treat that person friendly, be gentle, be giving, generous towards that person. So now you see what happens. The principle of love is taught. That love is a personal decision, and as love is taught, out of it flows the values. Creation. Now that was a hard one because there's such resistance to creation. As soon as you mention creation, a lot of people think, okay, there we go, it's religious, it's God. Well, creation is simply this, pulling the invisible world down into the tangible realm. So what's invisible? What's invisible? Thoughts, imaginations, dreams, visions. All these things are invisible, and then through the spoken word, we make them real, or we give them a design that they exist in this world. Now when you teach children and teachers that that is what creation is, first of all, there's a great value of what a child thinks, not the destruction. Like every child, I'm going to be the biggest football player or the best known football player in the world. Well, that's a dream. Instead of trying to destroy that child and his dreams or her dreams, we try to make the teachers understand how important these thinking processes are of children, and that these thinking processes need to be brought by the spoken word into existence. That is what creation is. Purpose. Now that's the wonderful thing too, purpose. The question is, for example, if I show you a chair, the question, did the chair first have its design or did it first have a purpose? It first had its purpose, and then a design was given to that chair. Anything around us, if we look at it, first had its purpose and then a design. So then you come to a child, how many children feel like they're accidents, like they're, I'm a casualty, I have wrong decisions? No. Every child has its purpose first, his or her purpose first. Then their design. And now the question is, can we, through this education system, pull them to understand their purpose and destiny and discover that and just live it out, just show the world what's inside of them. So that's what purpose. And then work is that to fulfill the destiny of your life. It's sharing of yourself with your environment, the quality characters that you have. So your work is a fulfillment of your purpose. And as I do that, what happens then? I become fruitful. Because when I share who I am, I will produce fruit and reproduce myself in other people. So that fruitfulness comes in. If I treat you friendly, Bill, what am I going to get? Friendliness. So that's what students have to learn, that their behavior and their way of acting are seeds that they are sowing. And according to what they sow, they will harvest the same as that they have sown, because that's what an apple seed produces apples, orange seeds produces oranges, friendliness produces friendliness. And then of course the self-discipline, which is government. That's the initiation of government. If we look at a lot of young people, or really even adults, there's so many that are out of control because they've not learned to govern themselves, govern their desires, govern their lives, govern how to use things. And so we teach that as a principle, because the way we govern ourselves, we learn to govern a family, society, and from there. And out of that, marriage. And we teach very clearly that marriage is a union between two different beings, out of which there is fruitfulness. Because all these principles have relationships with each other. So all we do is we give the truth. And as we present the truth without judgment, the other principles will show forth how each of these fundamental truths are related to each other. For example, let's talk about marriage one moment. I believe marriage is perfection, is a place of perfection, where two human beings work together and become one, and create an environment where change is possible without feeling the rejection of their person. And for example, nowadays with a lot of children don't understand what love is because they interpret love what they see in their household. So they see a mom and a dad fighting, criticizing each other, screaming at each other, getting angry with each other. And after a few months, there's a divorce and a separation. So what do children understand? Love means two human beings fighting, criticizing each other, and then separating. So we destroy a secure place for children to form their character without realizing I have to be denied as a person. I can be accepted even though I get corrected in certain areas. So as we as we teach these 7 principles inside of this curriculum, the 13 books that we have, each textbook according to age level, we try to take each child along a destiny, along this road of discovering who she is, the calling on their life, why they do things, what are the strengths they have, discovering who they are and living up to the great destiny that's inside of them.
Now you're teaching the gospel in public schools, so you must have some critics.
Bill, let me tell you of a story of a guy that was heckling us during a presentation to about 300 parents and about 100 teachers. This guy stood up in the back of the room and called us down several times. So finally I asked him why he was there and if he had any children. He said yes, he had a 14-year-old daughter. I said, and that's something, I got a 14-year-old daughter too. I go, do you want your 14-year-old daughter coming home pregnant? He said no, he didn't. I asked him what he was doing to keep that from happening, and there was a death silence. I told him we are trying to help him for his daughter to finish high school and not get pregnant. Was he in agreement with that? He was in agreement. So we made a friend that day. He came up to the front of the auditorium and apologized to everybody because he realized he wasn't doing anything to keep his daughter from getting pregnant. We were trying to help him keep his family whole and sound. He got it. So the broadest spectrum of politics and religion, creeds, whatever, they want the good for their kids, and we make that really clear. We don't come from the outside trying to impose our values on them. We're working from inside the system, and we ask them what they want. Huge difference. So instead of trying to tell them what they need, we ask them what they want, and then we help them with what they want. And so that's been, I think, one of the big keys.
And I think one of the keys also has been very important that we've every year surrendered reports in detail of what we have done. And
well, our reports have been so impressive that they changed the law in Bolivia, the education law, based on our reports. So the advocacy that we've been able to have in regards to the education system, now other issues in the country like child pornography and sexual abuse of young children, we're talking about like kindergartens, they've come to us and asked us to help them change the law to protect little kids. Because how effective we've been at changing, we never started out to change the law, we just did a good job and the law changed around us. So now we want to do a good job protecting little kids and other things we see in the classroom, and the government's asking us for help. That's how you get in. The government of Bolivia is willing to subsidize the cost of this program in the schools because it's so effective. It saves them money, so they're willing to participate. The great benefit of their participation is they take ownership. So this isn't an American program in Bolivian schools. This is a Bolivian program in Bolivian schools. And it's a Chilean program in Chile. So wherever we're at, it's their program because they're paying for it, which is huge. That means they got skin in the game and they got ownership. So when the parents had to pay for the curriculum, in the beginning they didn't want the curriculum because it didn't have any value to them. So we asked them, what would it have to look like to have enough value to you to pay for it? And that's when we got a world-class curriculum.